Hello, my wonderful Invincibles. Welcome to the channel or welcome back to the channel. My name is Didi Pavernick. I am here to share with you such an amazing success story that I experienced a couple years back. And it is the I Am That I Am instant manifestation success story. Now, I am going to wet your manifestation whistle because I know that there are some other coaches out there that like to tease. They'll share a client success story or their own success story, and they'll give you the outcome, but they won't give you what happened in between because they don't want you to get caught up in what this other person did and how they made it happen. Well, I'm going to just push all the buttons. I'm going to give you everything you want from a success story because we're going to go into this story. I'm going to give you all of the states of consciousness that I went through. I'm going to share with you exactly how it happened, but what most importantly, I'm going to take concepts that you hear all the time. You are the way, you are the proof, you are the light. I am that I am, and there is no other. I am who I say I am. How we unconsciously create until we're made consciously aware. Like all of those things that you hear on manifestation channels, and you get the concept of it, but how does it play out in real life? And I'm going to just really feed and give you your wish fulfilled because this is our wish fulfilled playground, the Invincible CEO wish fulfilled playground. Now, if you want to work with me, I am like a pit bull. When you tell me what your done deal is, I latch onto that and I don't waver. I don't waver. I act like you're subconscious. So as you go along your journey with me, I help you stay consciously aware. And I'm going to show with you in this story how my mind did that for me because your mind is doing that for you, but you also created me. This is how wonderful of imagination you have. You created me. I'm having a wonderful hair day. Thank you so much for that. Love it, love it, love it. Anyway, okay. So look at the description box below, get on my calendar so that we can get you in your finish line because manifestation is simple, easy, and fun. And all I want to ever do is see you win, win big, and win all the time. Because why not? You are. I am that I am. You are that I am. You claim it now. So we are going to go over many different things that I've talked here on the channel. And this actual story I have shared before as part of a small compilation. And the weird thing is I recorded another video yesterday that all I had to do today was put it up. And this story would not let me alone. And I'm like, I've told this story already. So I always speak out loud because I'm always commanding my reality, because otherwise, if it's inside my head, it's an echo. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But I'm like, why? Why this story? And it would not let me alone all morning. So I'm like, fine, fine. So I always do a mock run just to hear what points, because I'm hearing it, I'm observing it as it's happening. And it was exactly the guidance that I needed on the topic. Now, you could say I was through the experience, but sometimes we forget, we go unconscious, even when we're a manifestation teacher and we get wonderful manifestations all the time. You know it's going to be good when it's a really good hair day. I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm going to really take the time in this video, and I've been really working on keeping my videos shorter, but there's going to be so much juicy nuggets here that if you haven't gotten a pen and paper, and I promise you, you're going to want to listen to this video more than once, because I'm going to give you everything you want as a person learning manifestation or expanding your manifestation or whatever part of the journey that you've ever wanted from a video. I'm going to give it to you right here, right now. Okay, so let's get a little bit of a backstory. I have a wonderful local client. I have lots of local clients because before I had an online business, I had an in-person business. And she worked with me since 2018, but we actually had met years before. I just had forgotten, but she remembered me. So I was helping her along the way. And at the time, she lived here in PA, but she would go down to Florida, Southern Florida, because that's where her job was. She was a high-level executive in real estate. And because of that, she would travel a lot. She was renting a condo from a coworker's parents, so that when she was down there, she had a consistent place to stay. And because I have a lot of clients in Southern Florida, she offered me as a special thank you that I could use her condo in Hallandale Beach whenever I wanted to. So by the time this story actually happens, I had been down there many, many times, very familiar with the area. and just got my own little way of doing things down there. But it's very different than when I'm up here. So I still consider it being pulled out of my normal routine, but because I keep going back, I get a normal routine down there. So at the time, she's also a client of my partner who has an automotive detailing business, and she has a fleet of cars. So a lot of times we don't do it for all of the clients, but for certain ones where we will go drop off and pick up for you. And I usually go with him when that happens. And I hadn't seen her at this point for probably over a year, and it had been a while since I had been down to the condo. And I was going, and I don't know if we were dropping off or picking up, but the past couple times, because usually he'll do one car after the other kind of thing. And we hadn't seen her the other times, but it just so happened this one day she was there, and she came over to talk to us for a while. I was very excited to see her. And I almost kind of got hollered at that I hadn't been down to the beach house in a while. And she said that in the time where we hadn't seen each other, that she bought it. And it almost made it sound like, she bought it for me. Like, how dare I buy this and you don't go down there? So I'm like, okay, you know what? I really do need some time down there. And sometimes my partner goes with me and sometimes he doesn't. So this time he couldn't. So I ended up, I know it was a couple of weeks later, it's like late July, Leo season, and I go down, and I'm down there by myself for a week. I think I went Saturday to Saturday. And here's the thing, I could have stayed as long as I wanted. She didn't have anyone else coming until like Labor Day weekend, beginning of September. So I could have stayed down there as long as I wanted to stay down there. So I had a great week down there, and where this story picks up is the night before I was to leave. So my routine is every morning I would go to the beach because it was about a block and a half, maybe a 5-minute walk tops. Maybe a little longer if I have to carry all the stuff to the beach. But in the morning and in the evening when I do my walks, because I go for the morning sunrise, and then after dinner I go back for an evening walk at the ocean, because that's my jam. I'm a summer baby. I love the beach. I love the sun. And it is my happy place, beyond my happy place. And so it's just so nice that until I'm there permanently, that I have a wonderful person that will allow me to use her place. So this was the night before I was to leave. I think my flight roughly was around noon the next day. And I'm now going for my evening walk. And when I get there, now here's the thing with me, and I kind of mentioned this a little bit at the beginning of this video, is that I speak out loud. So whenever I'm having a conversation with myself, I speak out loud. I don't care if I'm by myself in the house or out in public and there's tons of people. Let them think I'm a crazy lady. Doesn't matter. Because for me, I made the difference of me commanding my reality, me speaking out loud, and me listening to the echoes in my echo chamber or my consciousness. Because the thought, what you call thoughts, we call echoes here in the Invincible CEO, and they sound like you because it's another version of you that thought them. So we sometimes will identify with what's in our consciousness inside as it's us, but we haven't spoken it out yet. So think about this. If you go into a cave and you say the word apple, you expect the echo to come back, apple, apple, apple. And it gets lesser each time because it's not the original you saying it with power and command and presence. So it gets less and less and less and less. And think about this. If you say apple and you keep hearing the apple echo, but now you want to say banana, you're not going to argue with the echo. You're not going to justify yourself to the echo or holler, at the echo that it's saying the wrong thing. And that's where, when we end up having these conversations in our head, that's what we're doing. It's like it's thoughts arguing with thoughts. So, and I will put up there are a couple videos on the channel about leftovers, because echoes are leftovers. So watch the leftovers that you're eating, and this will get more apparent as we go along in this story. So I'm at the beach now, I'm at my walk, and I start realizing, okay, my flight is at noon. What time do I have to leave? Because I have a car to return. I think it's maybe about a 30-minute, 40-minute drive back to the airport. You got to make sure, all the times to go through the security check and all the stuff, right? And I realize, based on my time frames, that I want to go one last time for my sunrise. that it's going to be a tight squeeze. So and I'm talking out loud. I'm like, okay, so if I start doing the cleanup now, when I get back, and clean up as much as I can, then that'll free up some time. So I'm saying, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? And I even said to myself, what is it that you need? Because I always ask myself that out loud. What do you need? So I can hear myself say this, right? And I really don't need it because I can make it short. But if I wanted to do it the way that I wanted to do it, what do I need? I need an extra hour. That's what I said. Wouldn't it be nice if I had an extra hour? What if I had an extra hour? That would be pure perfection because every moment is pure perfection. And what's really powerful about this is now, as I'm speaking right here, this version of me sitting here recording this video did not have this experience because I didn't have it today because I'm here now. So what I'm doing is I'm calling on a different version of me, and that version, I always say my characters have one day, right? So in all of eternity, she's living that day like Groundhog Day over and over and over again. I have a really great take on Groundhog Day in Palm Springs. That's another movie that's like Groundhog Day. If you want to know how that teaches you manifestation, put in the comment section, Groundhog video, and I will share that with you. So when she's there, now I'm talking about her right now. I'm not there right now. She's there first person. I'm here first person. But when I'm talking about her, I have the third person perspective of her. Just like if I were telling you about my dream last night, I'm not there, right? Because it's just location. I can tell you about my dream version of me, but she's no different to me, my dream version of last night, and this version of me that was back in 2023 at the beach in July. It's the same feel. It's the same feel of what's going on. So she's allowing me to use her memory. And right now, she's there experiencing it because in all of eternity, that's her one job, to relive that day over and over again. And when I activate her, she sends me her real time, this is what's going on, so that I can recount it here for you. Okay, real powerful stuff, because the future you is doing the same thing because they're all just frames in time that need you to animate them. All right, so now she's sending back to me that we were speaking out loud. We were commanding our reality, and that's what I do all the time. I'm always speaking out loud because I'm commanding, wouldn't it be nice if I had an extra hour? So now, and I feel what that feels like. That feels really good. That feels like relief. That feels like joy. That feels like the pressure's taken off and I won't be rushing. Because why would I want to rush in my reality if I'm all of reality? I am that I am. But at that moment that I'm speaking it out loud and commanding it, I wasn't that I am. I was the I am that had to leave at a certain time that would have been rushed and might even consider not going for her morning sunrise. So now I'm letting the circumstances be the boss of me, and circumstances are never the boss of me. So I say that out loud. Wouldn't it be nice if I had an extra hour? And that would be perfect because every moment, this now moment is perfect. This is the perfect recounting of that memory. Can't get any better than this. So I do this all day long. So if I'm going to go to the laundry room and put my wash in the dryer, I say to them, I'm going to put the wash in the dryer. It's going to be the best time I've ever done it. I've never done it like this before. Like I really build it up. And I use these everyday circumstances to make myself feel like I won first place in the competition of taking the wash out of the dryer and putting it in the dryer. And sometimes I'll even take a bow, like I'm in my own Truman Show and I know you're all watching. And I break that fourth wall, right? So this is all about having fun because then you don't take things seriously. And when I'm recounting a memory from a different version of me, memory, the foundation of the word memory is meme. They're memes. And I don't take memes seriously, but they're fun to share, right? Okay. So I'm there and wouldn't it be nice if, but I'm still going to do things the night before because I'm going to act as if I don't have that extra hour. And here's the thing I want to say. I didn't go for my walk that day and say, how can I manifest something? How can I make this happen? How can I force this to happen? What I was doing was, from my human perspective, What could I do tonight that would free up some time if nothing changed in my story? And this is how it played out. Because that's acceptance of your story, right? You're doing what you can as a human being in the story. And yes, wouldn't it be nice if you had that extra hour, but I can do some things now that could free up time or make me feel like I'm not pressured to run back from my morning sunrise. Okay, cool. So I finished up my walk. If there was anything else I talked about, I don't remember. And I'm not asking her to send it to me. And so when I left the beach, I felt satisfied and complete that I knew what I could do when I go back to the condo. And when I say to you, 5-minute walk tops, it's like you leave the beach, you go through some buildings, you cross the street, there's the building that I'm in. And I wasn't quite at the door to go into the building, and I get a text. And I look at the text, and it's from the airline saying that my flight was delayed an hour. Now, again, I didn't try to delay a flight. I didn't try to figure out how to manipulate 3D circumstances. I was a character. I went to the beach. I was honoring what I do. And when I said, when I asked myself out loud, what is it that you want or need? And I said an extra hour would be nice. I could feel, yeah, that's it. It felt like that's perfect. Not an hour and a half, not a half hour. It was like an hour was perfect. So when Neville Goddard talks about doing imaginal acts, because we're always doing imaginal acts, passive imaginal acts are when we close our eyes and do it within our consciousness, going within. But when I'm at the beach and I was doing this process of speaking out loud, that's also an active imaginal act. I'm acting it out as the character, but I wasn't expecting anything from it. It was, what could I do in my circumstances that would make me feel good? I can do some things to kind of be, as Abraham Hicks says, a cooperative component to what I'm asking for. So I set this in motion. So by the time I'm about to enter the building, I get a text from the airline saying your flight, your 12 noon flight tomorrow is now delayed an hour. And I'm going, it's like 6 or 7 o'clock the night before. I'm like, how do they know that already? Like, it didn't hit me. So what this level of consciousness is at this point to me is what I call regular everyday dream consciousness, right? So to me, the daytime is a daytime dream, the nighttime is a nighttime dream. And most of our dreams, we have regular dream consciousness. We're not lucid. And that's why I can recall some things from my dream the night before, but not like she could tell the story because she was actually there. But you can go lucid in a dream, and sometimes I will deliberately go into a dream lucid, and other times I will pay attention to the dream cues and I will become lucid in a dream. The same thing happens here during the day, and there's a whole playlist on my lucid dreaming here. So if you want to explore that more, I will also link that in the description box below for you. And the video on leftovers, because your echoes are leftovers from other versions of you. Okay, so now it didn't hit me yet. It wasn't enough to make me lucid. It's what we would call a coincidence or a synchronicity, like I'm in the flow kind of thing, like, you know, that little, and I want you to be entitled. I want you to be cocky and arrogant. Like, this is your reality. You're the god of your reality. You got what you asked for. But and when I saw the text, it felt like the same thing I felt like when I was on the beach, like relief, like, okay, hour delay, and there you go. And I didn't give it much thought. So I went about the rest of my night and did the things that I said I was going to do to still give me extra time, even though now I have my extra hour. And I made sure everything was all set for me to get up for the sunrise and, you know, to get out there in time where it's dark. And then it's a whole beautiful thing. I think I have a video, and I may put that up as a short. So I'm really excited. And I got up the next morning, went out for my sunrise. And as I was coming back from the beach again, now I knew I had the hour delay. There was no rush. I was enjoying every single moment of it. Um, Here's the thing with me and being at the beach. It doesn't matter which beach I'm at. I never want to leave. I don't want to go home. I do, but I don't, because of course, I miss my family and I have things, you know, in business I have to come back and do because I didn't take all that stuff with me down there. So there were some little obligations, but technically I know that I could stay there a whole extra month if I wanted to, because nobody was coming in. I didn't have to leave. It wasn't a hotel, that sort of thing. But I can feel that no matter what, I get that angst, like, I don't want to go. Oh, I want to stay. Why didn't I? And just that little kind of thing that you do with yourself. But you're going, you're going to the airport. So I'm coming back from my morning sunrise, and this is what I'm going. And I could feel it wasn't like dread, but it was like, oh, I want to stay some more. But, I don't. But this is where your subconscious mind takes you at your word. Because by the time I got back, once again, just about to walk in the building, I get another text. And now my flight is delayed an additional half hour. So now it's an hour and a half delay. But it wasn't enough. And I call these moments of cognitive dissonance. I'm like, I'm starting to connect the dots. And you would think as a manifestation teacher, like, I'd have this down all the time, but we're not in that hyper state all the time. And I wasn't trying to manifest. This is just when teachers say to you that you're manifesting nonstop all day long, your whole entire life, a lot of our manifestation is unconscious or subconscious. I didn't realize I was causing all of this. And I will really give that grand reveal in a little bit here. But it was me because I'm the only one in my world. So it still hasn't hit me yet, but now I really don't have to rush. I have all this extra time. And actually, it did become a little annoying that it was like too much time, because then it was more time for me to go. Then I'm going, maybe Florida doesn't want me to leave. Like, how we kind of start creating stories over the now moment. And I came back, I had some breakfast, and then I was doing the finishing up cleaning, especially since I'd been back to the beach, making sure there's no sand, doing vacuuming. And as I'm vacuuming, there's a mirror there. And watch what you say in front of a mirror. At least this is powerful for me. So I stopped. There's a mirror in the living room, and I look at it, and I'm saying, you don't want to go. You don't want to go. You never want to go. We do this all the time. Every single time we have to leave the beach, we go through this. And I'm like kind of laughing at her. I'm like, come on now. You have to go. You want to go home. And while I'm doing this, I get another text. And I'm like, no, no. Now I'm going lucid. Now I'm like, oh, and I look, and it's ridiculous. It's a 10-minute delay. So now my flight is an hour and 40 minutes, but 10 minutes, like that's the thing that got me lucid. That like, okay, I can see an hour and then a half hour, but what would it matter if it was an extra 10 minutes on that once we were there? Like the 10-minute delay did not make any sense. But really what my subconscious was saying to me is, you're wobbling here, and I don't know which one you want. Do you want to go or do you want to stay? And that's what usually happens when we're unconsciously or subconsciously creating, and there's this little tug of war going on within yourself. Even though I was sort of joking, I could feel that, like, I don't want to leave. I could feel it. So when Neville Goddard talks about going into your imaginal acts and feeling it, it could be emotion, but he's talking about what it feels like to be there, right? Feeling the sand underneath my feet, but also feeling knowing that an hour would be good, was satisfied and complete, like feeling that satisfaction. That's how you know that you have become one, right? This version of me here and that version of me there, jumping, if I were to go into her reality again to relive that moment physically, I could put myself back on that beach looking out of her eyes and feeling what she felt. It's like jumping into the frame and making there here and making then now. So now with this last third one of 10 minutes, now that to me, that was just absolutely absurd and ridiculous. And when something is ridiculous, then I'm like, okay, I have to go lucid here. My mind really is unsure of which film roll to activate. And I realized in that moment that if I kept doing that, my mind really believes that I wanted to stay. And there was a part of me that did, but there's also a part of me that really did want to go home. But at that point, they must have been kind of equal. And that's when my mind is saying to me, which one do you want? We want to give you what you want. And the way I look at the now moment is like we're the drop of water and all the ripples go out. And and it's just like nonstop drop, 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 and the ripples go out. And it's which energy that gets more drops, more saturation, more flooding your consciousness. is what plays out. But I was realizing in real time, because there is only now, that my conscious awareness of what's going on changed the airline's flight time in my baseline reality 3 times. 3 times. And now my mind is saying, I believe you want to stay. And I had to get clear and concise and convicted in my choice, because if I kept doing that, the way that I saw it playing out was I would drive to the airport, I would, give the car in, and then my flight would get canceled because technically I didn't contradict that I really wanted to go home. And I didn't want it to happen that way, because I could have chosen in that moment or any moment prior to decide to stay, because I didn't have to leave. So now I'm sending mixed signals to my subconscious, and all the subconscious wants to do is, which one do you want? Make a choice. And that's why working with me, when you tell me what you want, I don't waver. And while you're in between, if you do, that's okay, until you're solid enough in yourself that you understand how all this is working. Because there is only you, this is your lucid dream. And whatever it is, that's why I speak out loud instead of speaking to echoes in my mind, because I don't play in the shadows. I don't play with echoes. I command my reality. I am that I am. I am the way. You are the way. But your subconscious takes you at your word, and it proves you right. And then when we say, well, how did I do that? How did I get this outcome? I didn't choose this. Yeah, you did. Because even though I knew I was going home, I was starting to emanate stronger. We can say vibrate, feel, whatever you want to call it. And the subconscious was saying to me the best way that it could, because it can't speak to me with words per se. It was saying, make a choice, because you're going to end up staying here, but not the way you want. And I didn't want to be stuck in an airport. I didn't want to have to find a way back to the place when I could just decide there and then, because I could easily change my flight and keep the car for longer. What do I want? And that's why clear, concise choices that you made there. So when I stopped and I zeroed out, right? I took 3 minutes of deep breathing and I let all the characters go. And after that 3 minutes, I came back and I said, I am that I am who is getting on the flight. There will be no more delays, and I will be home in PA today. And after that, there were no more delays that came in, and I didn't give it any other thought or any other attention. I made my choice. I stepped over the starting line, and I expected that to play out. Now, what was really fun was by the time I got to the airport and I'm sitting there waiting, and I start laughing, because I'm always joking in my consciousness, right? And I start laughing out loud. And again, I will talk out loud. I'm like, I wonder if I should tell everyone I'm the reason why there's an hour and 40-minute delay. And just when I said that, an idea, now this wasn't an echo. My echoes feel a certain way, but this was some other type of energy on this idea that came in. How do you know that everyone here, this was not their normal time anyway? Like, I leveled up to the reality where this was the time the flight was meant to take off, because nothing was ever said about a delay by anyone on the flight or any of the people working for the airline. And this is the power that you have, because there is no airline. You created it. Your consciousness created the airline you're flying on. So technically, that's why I call this the Invincible CEO. You're the CEO of everything. You may not run the company on a daily basis, but my thoughts technically were changing the flight time. But the way reality is in the multiverse is, all I was doing was I was taking my consciousness out of the 12 o'clock flight. Then I put it in the 1 o'clock flight. So there's that same flight was leaving at 1 p.m. Then there's another flight that was leaving at 1:30 p.m. And then there was a flight that was leaving at 1:40 p.m. Right? So all of those exist, and there's all the other times also, but I didn't want to explore any of those. So I realized in that moment that not only was it me, I was doing that, but it took 3 attempts for my mind to show me that I was doing it, for me to become lucid, to become more conscious, because there's only now. And really, everything that your mind is offering to you is saying to you, what is it that you want? Because here's the path that you're on. Are you aware that you're on this path? And all you have to do is in that moment, right? And this is why I don't make a clear, concise choice from that character. You heard me say, and sometimes it's 3 deep breaths, and sometimes at least I tried to do 3 minutes of 0 point. There's a whole playlist on 0 point here that I can say, I'm no longer that version that was doing all that stuff. And I zero myself out, I neutralize myself. And when I come out of it, I make the clear, concise, convicted choice. This is who I am. I say it out loud, regardless of where I'm at. Don't care what anybody thinks of me, because I'm the creator of my reality. And now I expect it through time and space to play out. Now, this really stood out for me because this was going to happen in the next 24 hours. So when you, my friends, are sometimes asking for something that isn't necessarily needed in the next 24 hours because it's already part of the script, but you're asking for abundance, you're asking for whatever it is you're asking for, the moment that you make the clear, concise choice and you know that you did, like there was no doubt in my mind that I was not going to entertain anything else contradicting that that was it. That was the last delay. I was getting on that flight and I was going home today. That's how it played out. And it was the most amazing flight. And any flight that I'm on, if you ever see me on your flight, we always arrive 15 minutes early. That's like a foundational assumption that's already anchored in. Every single plane I'm on is always 15 minutes arriving early. It doesn't matter, even if we're on time the whole flight, it just automatically, we touch ground and it's 15 minutes prior to when we were supposed to come in. And that's really good for the people who have to pick me up at the airport. So it's all you. I am that I am. And this is how you are sending out. You are all of reality. This is all of you. Whether it's the airline, it's the pizza place, it's the supermarket, it's the gym, it's all there just for you. All of this, the sun rises just for you. I am that I am. And it's instant manifestation. But I became aware of it 5 minutes from walking back to the beach, because that's when the text came in. And it's all instant. I noticed it, even though it took 5 minutes to walk back from the beach and it was a little bit of time since I had the conversation out loud. The moment that I noticed it, it was instant. And I believed it. I didn't call the airline saying, are you sure? Like, it's the day before. How do you know the day before that it's going to be an hour delayed? Like, couldn't you fix that? Like, all the time that you would have? Like, none of that. But originally, like, that was kind of what I was speaking at. Like, really? Okay, and that's what acceptance of the now moment is. It's one quantum possibility, and it was to my benefit. But it also happens that way when you're going against yourself, right? If I hadn't done all that and there was an hour delay, I might not have been happy about it in that kind of story. But in the story that I was in, because I commanded it out loud, my mind knows me, right? So this is something that I've built within myself, that if I'm speaking it out loud, this is who I am. Bring me more of this. And it doesn't matter whether I have an hour or 10 minutes or 10 days. Once I speak it out loud and I know what I've commanded, I don't go and entertain any echoes or leftovers that would contradict what I've spoken out loud. But what I've spoken out loud, an echo, is very weak, right? When you say apple, the echoes are very weak. They're not you. They're from a different version of you that sounds like you, right? Because when I speak about the version of me back in July of 2023, love her dearly, she's wonderful. She's sending me this memory because this version, this physical version of me, have only been here today. And my hair didn't look like this, and I didn't look like this. I looked very, very different back then. So you're always changing. That's all you ever do. And if this video really resonated with you, right, it shows you that when I started doing this, yes, I was consciously creating in the effect of I was having the conversation out loud because I always do that, but that's part of my character. But unconsciously or subconsciously, I changed the time because I didn't go there deliberately to go, okay, can I change the time of the air flight? I didn't do any of that. It was all part of the script that I was in because where I was, it was perfect. And if it didn't happen, I was already a cooperative component saying, how can I, from where I am, bring some relief ahead of time by doing things the night before that even if the time didn't change, I wouldn't feel rushed. So since I already started figuring things out here that I could do, that lets my subconscious know that I mean business, that this is what I want, because look, I'm already doing my part. I'm already doing my thing. And sometimes all that you can do here is not do anything. So it's not like you have to do, because not doing something is doing something, right? Not choosing is choosing. And that's where I think sometimes we get a little caught up in thinking that there's some big grand gesture. Yes, sometimes you can do that. But other times it's just don't do the other thing. Don't contradict yourself. And that's what I love about races. When I go to run a race, there's a defined starting line and there's a defined finish line. So whenever I make my choice, I make sure that I know my defined starting line, my jump off point. And and sometimes I literally will take my foot and draw an imaginary line on the ground. And once I make my choice, I step over it. It's like a symbolic gesture, a ceremony, just like getting married or a graduation, that lets my subconscious mind know I mean business. This is what I've chosen. All right, I want to hear from you. How did you find this video helpful? I will link all the videos that I said that I would so that you can go back, because there was, in the original video where I shared the story, there was another manifestation that I played with when I was at the airport during the waiting time there, about a guy who was really starting to rock. He was sitting next to me and he was rocking back and forth so much, and it was fun, but then it got annoying, so I made him disappear. So if you want to see that, make sure you do go back and listen to that other video. If you have any questions for me at any time, feel free to email me or put comments in the section here, or check out my calendar and get on it so that we can get you your wish fulfilled, your finish line, and have fun along the way. Until I see you again, thank you for all your love and support. Like and subscribe, share the channel. Until I see you again, happy manifesting and enjoy.